G'day, Geoff Lewis here from Seriously Series, and welcome to a bit of a bush mechanic tale here today. It's not the most mechanically orientated story, but I think it's one that's quite interesting, and it relates to the age-old subject of debate, the humble tyre pressure. So if this sounds like it might be the captivating kind of video that might be of interest to you, then as always, you know exactly what to do. Click on that subscribe button down below, click on that notification button too, but most importantly, stay tuned. So the old humble tyre, hey? The conversation about tyre pressures is something as old as time itself. And not to put another video up there just all about tyre pressures, but this has, I think, something really quite interesting at the heart of it, of this bush mechanic tale. I was up in the Pilbara late last year, doing some geological work, because I work as an exploration geologist when I'm not here doing some seriously good stuff. Well, hopefully you think it's seriously good stuff. And basically, I was in the middle of nowhere in a, dare I hate to say it, a Hilux of all things. And we were driving along, myself and my work colleague, and we got down to the end of this track and there was a tight turn. And anyway, there was some soft sand. And it would have been at least 47, 50 degrees centigrade with about probably 70 to 80% humidity. So it was pretty muggy. And anyway, middle of the day, it's hot, the sand isn't really binding together. The Hilux didn't really have, I guess, the best tyres for the job, and it didn't really have a lot of weight in the back either, being a utility. So it really didn't have a lot going for it. And it actually got bogged. Shock, horror. And the back sank down, the front went down a little bit, and what were we going to do? I'd literally just come on the job and I had a bit of a look around the vehicle and there was no real proper recovery gear. So I was like, well, it's a long walk to anywhere and I'm not leaving this car with that kind of heat, those kinds of temperatures. That's just asking for trouble. So what I did is I thought, what do I know about the situation? What have I seen about this situation before in the past? And this is where this handy tool, this Victorinox multi-tool, really came into a world of its own. Now, I could have used a number of different things. I could have used a stick to do the same task or job, but there wasn't any around. So that's why I had to use this. And what I thought about was actually a book that I read called Outback Survival by Jack Absalom, who I've talked about a few times on the channel here. And he got his Sigma stuck in some sand. He did a film about it called Outback Survival 2, I think. And all he did is he got his Sigma out of this bog in the sand by just using his hand, or hands. He cleared the sand in front of the actual tyre and the rear of the tyre itself, and he just let the tyre pressures down a bit. Now, with tyre pressures, we all think about a number, but it's not actually the number itself. It comes down to the overall weight of the tyre, weight of the vehicle, and obviously the construction of the tyre too. Now these Toyota Open Country MTs, I absolutely love them and they're a great tyre, and I'm not just saying that, they really are. But they have a very thick, durable sidewall, which is really good out here in the desert, but it also means that you've got to let the pressures, a lot more pressure out for the tyre to deform. And what we actually want to do is allow the actual pressure to go out of the tyre so the sidewall bulges, but not so much for the overall width of the tyre, but it's the length of the tread. We don't want the tyre to be perfectly round, we want it to be slightly flat on the bottom if we're going down really low and trying to get out of this soft sand that I'm talking about. Because that means we have a greater surface area on the ground, it means we're putting less downward pressure, and it also means that we're maximising our traction because we've got more of the tyre in contact with the surface. And so without a tyre pressure gauge, that's exactly what I did. I flicked out the knife that I had on this very tool. I took the valve off, or the valve cap, and then having cleared the sand around the tyres, I just basically put the nip of the end of the actual knife on the valve itself and let some pressure out. I can't get it to do here on camera today because it never ever works that way, but anyway, you get the idea. And I basically just looked at the tyres and how they deformed and how they performed, and they performed very well. I had to rock it back and give it a little bit of welly to get it out, but nevertheless we got out, no problem at all. It was a bit of a slow drive back to the nearest town because we then found that the car in question didn't have an air compressor. Or sorry, it did have an air compressor, but it didn't have an airline. So just an interesting tale, I thought. And it's always handy having a multi-tool or a knife or something of use at hand on you. It's amazing. You just never ever know when it might, you know, be of use. That's what I'm trying to say, be of use. So anyway, Victorinox multi-tool. If you're looking for a birthday present, if you're looking to start your Christmas list early this year because you've been a good boy or girl, put it on there. These are being rolled out for the Australian Army, so if it's good enough for them, I think it's good enough for you and I. But anyway, if you're enjoying the videos here at Seriously Series, then please do support Seriously Series on Patreon by clicking on the Patreon icon at the top right hand corner of your screen at the end of this video. You can also delve down into the content section down below where you can click on the Patreon link there, and also a link to our online store where you can get all the Seriously Best series merchandise on the internet and more. But anyway, I'm going to keep moving and I will catch you in the next one. See you then.